it's not going to be. It's not going to be Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh no, Bobby's here. Bobby's here.
Okay.
Yeah. There he is. There he is. Bobby on our left, Gorilla on our right. This primetime set, 1989. How much does that bring you back, dude?
It was wonderful because I was there at that time. This was my era. I was in the WWE here, right? This was me. I was loving working there. I just really, really working there. Loved working there, and it was so much fun. God,
how great is that Bobby the Brain Heenan jacket he's wearing right there?
Tremendous. And I think I've told you this. I'm not so sure if I'm on the commentary here, but I think I probably am on some of the matches.
You are.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened would be they would be in the major studio, and they would shoot this show and pitch to us back in the audio booth. Me and Alfred, more usually it was me and Alfred, and we would do the commentary over the matches as they roll them in. So it was pretty cool. I don't remember this Roddy Piper one, to be honest with you, but I just do remember doing those. We would do them at night, and of course this was a forerunner right to Raw.
Yeah, it was Monday night.
Yeah. So we would do those like maybe on like Thursday night prior or something like that.
Hey, you know what? We're not so prime time WHW. We're just after prime time. WHW.
Yes, that's exactly what we are, and we are on at nights. Tell your friends, don't just come on here typing like James O'Cora and Aaron Sheen and Rajiv and say, "Oh, we're having a good." Tell your fucking friends. Join us live on Monday nights, right after Raw.
How cool is it that we're doing this on Monday nights now? I'm a big fan of this idea. Like I know you and I have usually recorded in the morning, and that was fun too.
Right.
But there's something about when we've got a big crowd. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who's joining us from the Patreon. It's patreon.com/WHW Monday. Of course, adfreeshows.com. But man, we got a cool live crowd. Appreciate you guys showing up with us. And man, now that Raw is just like a 2-hour show, how fun is it immediately after? Just jump on, hang out with us. Bryant's with us, and he says, "This is better at night." I agree, Bryant. This is fun. A little late night Schiavone action.
This is it. And as you know, Lanny Apofo has the microphone. There was a man named Conrad who was a motherfucker.
I'm sorry. I know that's bad for him and his legacy, but I'm kind of low key jealous. Like, what's understood about S-ing your own D is you got a fair size hog on you, as the Nature Boy would say.
Somebody, there was a guy in the back when I was there that could
look at Mr. Perfect coming to the ring. How cool is this?
Oh, he was cool. I think I've told this story before. There was a guy in the backstage area who could draw very, very well. And of course, it's obviously when you think about wrestlers who can draw, you think about Jerry the King Lawler, but obviously he wasn't there at that time, but he could really draw great cartoons. And he drew on a piece of paper and put up on the board a very vivid drawing of Lanny Poffo.
Yes.
Right? A very vivid drawing of Lanny Poffo. That's all I say. And I walked out and Lanny was standing there and I went, "Did you see that?" He said, "Yes, I've been misrepresented." And he smiled and turned away and walked away. So that kind of, I don't know if he admitted to it or not right there. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, listen, friend of the show, former friend of the show, sadly she's no longer with us, Peggy Lathan told me straight up she saw it happen.
Peggy Lathan saw it happen.
She told me that Ric Flair came to her and said, "Come here, Peggy. Yeah, come here. Come here. Yeah." You know exactly what I'm saying when I say it like that.
Yeah, I sure do.
So she comes around the corner and there it is.
And here's a question that comes out of that whole thing.
Yeah.
How did a fucking numbnut goofball like Ric Flair become one of the greatest wrestlers of all time?
Practice.
Because he is a numbnut goofball. And you know better than anybody.
Hey, how fun is this, man? I got to tell you, I watched this earlier today, and there's so much about this show I really appreciate. I really sincerely hope you guys are watching with us. It went down October 23rd, 1989. Of course, it's a recorded show. No such thing as a live show back then. But it was season 5, episode 43. Your hosts are Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan in Studio A. Roddy Piper's over on Studio B. They're going to hype up the announcement of Survivor Series Showdown. It's going down on November 12th. So just about 3 weeks after this. But we've got Mr. Perfect versus Reno Riggins. Of course, we saw the poem from The Genius just before they got things kicked off. But Mr. Perfect, man, just his walk to the ring, the spotlight on him in a pretty dark arena, Danny Davis being there, even Mr. Perfect's gear, like his singlet and the boots with the Mr. P on it. Like this is probably peak fandom of my childhood, 1989, Tony. And it makes me happy as a wrestling fan to hear you, who most people listening to this think of you from either Jim Crockett Promotions or WCW or AEW, for you to say, boy, what a great time this was. Because man, for me as a fan, this was as good as it gets.
I've told this story before, but I think it's worth repeating because not everybody listens to everything we say. That when I was offered to quote unquote come back to WCW, I struggled with it, and I can't think of anything in my life I have struggled with as far as decision is concerned in my life more than this decision. I actually did exactly what they say you should do, and that is get a legal pad and put pros and cons. Staying with WWF, going back to WCW, and I wrote them down, and I just agonized over that for a long, long time. I really didn't want to go back, and then when I got back to WCW, I wanted to kill myself. Uh, it was a tough choice for me because I really enjoyed working there, and I learned a lot of things about production, and I learned a lot of things about what makes wrestling good and what makes wrestling work behind the scenes from that 1 year there. I really did, and I'm not crediting Vince with all of this. I'm crediting guys like Kevin Dunn, like Gorilla Monsoon, who was certainly helped me a great deal with my announcing, like Lord Alfred Hayes, like the guys who worked in Edit One and Edit Three, and the guys who worked at Coliseum Video, and everybody. Sean Mooney, who I work with, Kevin Granith, another a kid that I work with a lot. I credit them with really teaching me a lot about production. So this was a great time in my life. And so I always look at primetime wrestling. I look at 89 and even the early part of 90 before I, like an idiot, left. Um, I look at that fondly. And when I look back on it, I look, well, maybe I shouldn't left. But then I think about this house. I've got a wonderful house. Uh, I've got a wonderful family and in-laws and kids. And so moving to Georgia has been the best for our family by far. And being able to work with AEW has been wonderful. But there was a time in my life in the early 90s where I would have gone back to the WWE in a second. I would have turned tail and walked. As a matter of fact, I may have also told you the story. I was so unhappy that I didn't sign my contract for a long time. I took the job. I went back to Atlanta, started working there, and Jim Hurd kept telling me, "They're going to sign your contract." I went, "Yeah, I'm going to sign it. I promise you, I'm going to sign it." All right. Then it waited so long, and I had called Vince, and I couldn't get back on with them. And I remember the email that Jim Hurd sent me. He said, "You either I don't know if email, he may have I don't know if there was emails back then, but he sent me a memo that said you either sign it by noon tomorrow or we are withdrawing it." So,
Mm.
so I had to take it, and I didn't want to, but I would have gone back. That's a long diatribe I know about my career, but it's true. And these two men were very influential in me. You're watching right now, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon.